With the sale agreement signed and registered and the home technically in your name now and the keys of your new house in your hands, this marks a milestone achievement in your financial journey, and it is time for you to sit back and celebrate. This calls for the beginning of a new innings, not just in your personal life, but also in your financial life. Yes, you have definitely moved into the house and you call the house your own, but with that comes the responsibility of the home loan that you've taken and that you need to service for the tenure of the loan. Also, as you settle down in your new home, get used to the new neighbors, the new surroundings, the feel of moving into a completely new place, and get used to the vibrations of the place. And as you add to the vibrations with your presence, with your family living together and with your friends coming together and celebrating all the events, it is also important for you to start getting used to the new cash flows that you will expect once the home loan has been totally disbursed and the EMIs from those home loans start debiting your bank account. Once you've moved into your new home, you may have a lot of questions with respect to what will my cash flows look like once I have moved into the house? How do I manage the EMI payments on a regular basis? And what if I have a surplus? Should I go ahead and prepay the loan? And should I consider a scenario a few years down the line of shifting my home loan provider if that warrants a benefit for me? While you may have a lot of these questions, let's look at them one after another. First, let's deal with the immediate cash flows that you will face after you've purchased your home. Assuming that pre-home purchase, your cash flows were divided as 60% going towards your living expenses, which included the rent payout, and 40% of your income was being saved, how do your cash flows look like after you start servicing the EMI? Well, the ideal breakup or the suggested breakup is that 40% goes towards your living expense. The reason your living expense reduces is because you start saving on the rent expense that you used to pay till now. 40% will go towards the EMI payment of the house. That is the very benchmark we took when we were arriving at the budget of the house when we started this entire exercise of buying a new home. And finally, the balance 20% should be saved and invested. The reason you want to save that amount is because you will have a lot of other goals coming up. With having achieved this landmark, moved into your home, now you can start looking forward to some of the other joys in life. So for that, you want to keep some savings aside, and that's why you have the balance 20%. Let's look at our example of the two-stage couple as to how do their cash flows look like once they moved into their new home. To recollect, both of them were earning an amount of 1 lakh each, and as a family they were earning a total of 2 lakhs, of which 60% was spent towards their living expenses, that is 1,20,000 per month, and the balance 40%, that is 80,000 per month, was being saved on a regular basis. To give you a detailed breakup of the cash flows, this is what it looked like. They had an income in hand of 2 lakhs, that is after they paid off the taxes and after they've invested the amount in their PF account. Their total expenses of 1,20,000 can be broken down into rent expense 30,000, groceries, utilities and bills, house help, commute travel expense, and finally personal spends totaling up to an amount of 1,20,000 per month, and they were saving an amount of 80,000 per month before they decided to buy the house. Before we look at their cash flows post the home purchase, let me introduce to you the tool which will help you make this comparison. If you open up the tool which helps you calculate your pre and post home purchase cash flows, you will see that you will expect the first part of your cash flows, that is your income, to remain constant. We don't expect any change there. The one you need to pay attention is the second part, where we are talking about the rent being a cash outflow pre-home purchase being replaced by your cash flows post home purchase, which will consist of first the home loan EMI that you need to pay. You will have an addition of the home maintenance and the property tax expenses on a monthly basis, and finally the impact of the home purchase on your taxes. If you're having a tax saving, you put a minus number here. If you're having an additional tax outflow, it will be a increase in your cash outflows. And the third section talks about your routine home expenses, which again you would not expect to change much except in case of conveyance. If there is a increase or there is a saving in your conveyance expense after moving to your new house, And in addition to that, if there are any other changes, you can account for them here, and then you will get your net monthly saving number, which is what you should target to invest on a monthly basis. Now, how do things change post the purchase of the house? If we look at their cash flows, while the couple is saving an amount of 80,000 per month, that is 40% of their cash flows before they purchase their home, post home purchase, this is what their cash flows would look like. They would be spending 80,000 per month towards the EMI payments to the bank, and their total expenses, which were 1,20,000 per month, would reduce to 91,250 per month, and their total savings, which was earlier 80,000 per month, will reduce to an amount of 28,750 per month. So 46% of their take-home income goes towards their expenses, 14% goes towards EMI, and the balance 17% is what they are able to save on a monthly basis. To show you how their living expenses reduced from 1,20,000 to 86,500, let's have a look at their cash flows. What has changed is the rental expense which they had goes away, so they save that 30,000 rupees per month. In addition to that, they have a maintenance expense that they will have to incur towards the maintenance and property tax of the new home they've just bought, so that adds on to an expense of 5,000 rupees per month. And finally, when they do their tax calculations, they're saving an amount of 3,750 rupees each month. So net on net, their expenses go up by 5,000 rupees per month with respect to the maintenance and tax, and it reduces by 33,750 per month, which is a combination of the rent they don't have to pay and the taxes they save as a result of the deductions they get for the principal and the interest that they pay for the home loan. So the net total expense becomes 91,250, which is for their living expenses, and they're left with a saving of 28,750 per month. So although we discussed about an ideal saving of 20%, in this case they're able to save only 17%, which is still a good point to start with, and as their income grows, they will be able to increase their savings and continue to build a corpus for their future and upcoming goals. One thing you must ensure post moving into your new home is that you have to be very diligent in managing your cash flows. Be quick to adopt and adjust to the new cash flows that you'll expect. So you will actually see that on a monthly basis, a large chunk of your money, which is almost 40% of your income, going off towards the payment of EMI, and you may just feel a tad poorer. That said and done, that 40% is actually going towards repaying a loan of your home, which is eventually yours. So be extremely careful that you do not default on any of your EMIs. You should be very prudent with this, because each time you miss a EMI payment, one, you incur a penalty which the bank can levy, which is a percentage of the EMI that is payable to the bank. Second, it has a longer term impact of lowering your credit score. So with your lowered credit score, it is something which is negatively impacting you, and it's going to have a long term impact on your future ability to borrow from the banks. So that said, have a very controlled set of cash flows. If required, keep some surplus aside to ensure that if at all in any month there is a slight fluctuation in your cash flows, your EMI payments do not get affected. Always be very diligent and punctual in paying your EMIs. Never ever default on any of your EMIs. Once you're set with the new cash flows in place and you're getting comfortable in the routine of paying the EMIs and managing your expenses and also managing to save a certain amount on a monthly basis, there are a number of small things that you need to be aware of and you need to do once you move into your new home. The first and most important is, what do you do with the documents? When you signed off the sale agreement, that was the proof of ownership of your home. But if you've taken a home loan, obviously that document is not going to continue to stay with you. It's going to go to the bank because the home is currently amortized with the bank. So the sale deed also will lie with the bank. So what you should do is, before the document can be handed over to the bank, you should take a photocopy of the entire sale agreement set and get it notarized so that it is as good as the original agreement and it can act as a proof of your ownership in case those documents are to be presented to different parties in the near or later future. In addition to taking photocopies and getting those copies notarized, you should also digitize those documents so that you have a soft copy of the original sale agreement as a proof of ownership of your home. When the documents are handed over to the bank, ensure that you make a list of all those documents so that you know exactly what is with the bank, because when you finish paying the loan, these are the documents which you have to take back from the bank. So it's important and it's your responsibility to ensure that you know exactly what original documents have been given to the bank so that you can request them back from the bank. At this point, you can again go back to your lawyer and ask him to do a check of what documents are to be handed over to you and what are to be given to the bank so that you have a proper stock of inventory. And once you've digitized all these documents, it lies for your records for the long term. While this takes care of the property documents, in addition to the documentation done along with the bank, it is important that you also do the necessary set of documentations with your society as well. Generally, once you move into your new home, if it's a new society, it may actually take a year or two for the society to be formally formed. But if it is an existing society, you should approach the society and have the society share certificate transferred in your name. Just like you have sale agreement which transfers the property in your name, you should approach your society, inform them of the change, and also get your name updated in the record of members of society so that you are reflected as a owner of the property in the society's records also. Once you've done that, you may want to approach the various utility vendors, including electricity, water, gas, and ensure that all of them are transferred to your name as the owner of the property. If you're a single owner, they get transferred in your name. If you're a joint owner, they get transferred in the name of both the joint owners. And once you've done that, you may also want to update your new address with the various third parties, whether be it your newspaper vendor or be it your bank account or be it your credit card provider or any of the news and periodical subscriptions that you have. Wherever necessary, ensure that you update your record. More importantly, before you update it anywhere, ensure that the address is updated in your PAN card, Aadhaar card, or any of the government documents. Once you settle down into your new place, you may also want to actively participate in the activities of the society so that as a society member, you know exactly what is happening. And one of the few things you must check once you move in is whether the society has got a fire/earthquake insurance for the entire building or for the society you live in. What happens is, since you've made a purchase of a home and it is your biggest purchase ever, you do not want to be uninsured for the property that you moved in. It is very common for a lot of well-managed societies to take an insurance cover for the society as a whole because it turns out much cheaper than each flat owner taking an insurance, which is basically a fire insurance, a property insurance, that if there is a fire, if there is an earthquake and the building were to be damaged, the insurance company covers for reconstruction of the entire building. This is one of the foremost things you must check once you move into the society, whether they have the adequate cover. And if the society does not have an insurance cover, maybe that is the first topic you want to bring up in the next society meeting that you attend, because that is something which has a direct impact on your ownership of a house. You do not want to leave the risk of a fire or earthquake open, especially if you are in a earthquake prone area like NCR or a place like Bombay, where you would have a number of incidents just because of the amount of population living in this place. As you settle down into your new home, time passes, you continue to save whatever you can each month, and then you may receive a certain amount of bonus from your employer at some point in time. You may also get a hike in your monthly pay, which results in higher amount of savings, right, which would all go up to add your corpus. A very common and a most oftenly asked question is, what should I do with that savings? Should I continue to invest the savings or should I use the saving to prepay my home loan? You can see on an average, when you take a home loan, it is for a tenure of about 20 years and it can go up to 25 and in those rare cases even up to 30 years. But if you look at the history of how long these loans stay open for, you will find that on an average in India, the home loans are paid off in between 8 to 9 years. So although we take a home loan with a tenure of 20 years, we tend to prepay the loan and be clear of the liability in about 8 to 9 years. And one reason for this is we are diligent savers, and when we save that money, we have two options: either to prepay the loan or use that money and save it, invest it as a part of your corpus for your future goals. So let's address the dilemma of should you prepay the loan or should you invest it for your future goals. First things first, when you have a surplus amount of money and you decide to prepay that to the banker, there is no prepayment penalty charged by the banks today. So you are free to prepay as much as amount you want towards the home loan, and when you make the prepayment, it goes towards reducing the principal amount outstanding for your home loan. Before you make the prepayment, you must consider if you have any immediate needs. If you have any immediate requirements in the next year or so and you need cash for that, then obviously it does not make sense to make the prepayment, because once you make the payment to the bank, unless you've taken a loan where you're allowed to withdraw the prepayment that you've made, which was only in the case of the overdraft home loan we discussed in the previous session, the amount that you pay to the bank is utilized towards the outstanding loan. And if you think you will need the money in the next couple of years, then it is not a good idea to prepay, but rather save the money and use it for the goal as and when it comes up. Before we look at the various factors that will help you determine whether you must prepay your loan or not, let's revisit our loan amortization schedule tool. If you open up this tool, you will find that in column K, there is a column called prepayment. If you were to plug in the amount of prepayment that you plan to do here, you will be able to see what is the impact of that prepayment on the total interest outflow over the life of the loan. So if you were to plug in a number, say at the end of year 4, or if you plug in a number at the end of year 3, you will see that the entire calculation of your EMI schedule changes because you've prepaid a loan, your principal has been paid faster than it should be. And if you come up to the summary table where the total principal and total interest is mentioned, you will see the impact of that prepayment on the total interest. When you enter the amounts, you will actually be surprised to see that how a prepayment in the early part of your loan, in the initial 5 to 7 years, the impact it has on the total interest payout, which is pretty substantial at times if you plan to prepay a decent chunk of your home loan. So there are a number of factors which will help you decide whether you should prepay your home loan or not. Let's do a check and arrive at whether it is a good idea to prepay the loan or not. The first check is how much of your income goes towards payment of your EMI. Check number 2 is going to be, are you as a person comfortable with the EMI payments each month? Now this is something which is very individualistic. Some may be very comfortable with the EMI payment, whereas most others generally want to get rid of the EMI payments at the earliest possible. So that is the second check, which is going to be unique to each person. And check number 3 is how much risk are you comfortable taking with the money that you will invest? Basically meaning, what is your risk profile and how does your investment look like as a result of your risk profile? Let's look at all these 3 points in detail. When you look at check number 1, if your home loan EMI is 40% or more of your take-home income, you can definitely consider prepaying the loan, because 40% is a pretty decent chunk of amount that is being paid directly to the banker. So if you are anywhere above 40%, you should consider prepaying your loan so that you can reduce the EMI that you are paying to the bank. Whereas if you're on the other end where the total amount of EMI that you pay is 20% or less than your take-home income, that is the load of EMI on your total take-home income is 20% or less, then it is not too much of a pressure on your personal finances and you can definitely continue with the home loan, because the home loan is not going to affect you materially. It is only having a small impact on your finances on a monthly basis. So in this, you purely look at how much of your cash flows are being consumed by the EMI that you need to pay on a monthly basis. And if you fall between 20 to 40%, then you would want to take this based on how comfortable you are keeping the EMI as it is, or you would be happier, you would have a better peace of mind if you decide to prepay part of the loan. That is a call that you take as an individual. The second check is, irrespective of the percentage of EMI that is eating up your income, how comfortable are you with the EMIs each month? Even if your EMI is just 20% of your total income, if you are not comfortable carrying a loan and you think you will have a better night's sleep if you are able to repay this loan completely, you can definitely consider going ahead and repaying this loan. Versus if you are comfortable holding on to the loan, keep carrying forward the loan, and think that the surplus which you have in hand should get invested, and you are okay with having both investments as well as the loan in your balance sheet at the same point in time, you can continue with the loan. So for this particular check, you will have to go back and look at how comfortable you are as an individual with respect to letting the loan continue as it is, or you would be better off just paying it and having a peaceful night's sleep when you know that the loan just does not exist anymore and it is over. Having said that, you must keep in mind that using all your savings to prepay the loan as and when you accumulate any savings is not a good idea, because you still want to have some liquidity in hand. You want to keep some cash in hand so that you are able to meet the goals which are coming up, because your home is a real estate where you cannot sell part of it to meet your liquidity requirements. Tomorrow you cannot decide that out of the 1000 square feet home, let me sell 50 square feet and generate some kind of liquidity. That will not be possible. So keeping in mind your short-term requirements or even slightly longer term requirements, you may want to hold on to some amount of savings at least, and not consume the entire savings that you have towards the prepayment of the loan. The third factor, or the check number 3 that you must look at, is what is your risk profile, and as a result of the risk profile, what are the expected returns from the investments that you will invest based on your risk profile. So if your risk profile is that of a conservative individual who's going to put all his money into debt investments, then what will happen is, if you were to save extra amount and use that to invest in those debt products, it is highly possible that you will be earning a return which is actually lower than the interest that you're paying on your home loan. Versus if you are a growth investor or an aggressive investor where you are investing a higher amount of money in high risk, high return products like equities, then obviously the expected return from those investments, the expected long-term return, would definitely be higher than the interest you're paying on your loan. But at the same time, by investing in those products, you are kind of acting on leverage, because technically you have an opportunity cost in terms of the cost you're paying for the home loan versus deciding to invest in your growth or a aggressive portfolio. So you need to do a comparison between these two to understand whether it makes financial sense to invest the money or to prepay the loan. Let's continue with our example of the two-state couples to understand how can they run this check for themselves. Both of them receive a combined bonus of INR 5 lakhs for the year, and they are wondering what should they do with the bonus. Should they invest it or should they use it to prepay the outstanding home loan? As a part of check number 1, they compare the EMI that they pay with their total take-home income, and currently their total take-home income is 3.2 lakhs per month as a family, whereas the EMI is 80,000 per month. So the EMI is 25% of the total income, which is well within the comfortable range that we looked at earlier. The check number 2 is, although a 25% EMI as a percentage of income is a comfortable range as per personal finance norms or as per prudent norms, are you as a couple comfortable continuing to pay the EMI, or do you prefer paying off the loan? If you're comfortable continuing with the EMIs, then you can look at moving to check number 3 to evaluate whether you must invest that money or use it to prepay your home loan. In check number 3 is where you would want to check what is the rate of interest that they are paying on their home loan and compare that with the expected rate from their portfolio investment. When they did their risk profiling, they turned out to be a growth couple wherein 70% of their income was invested in equity and 30% was invested in debt. So if they were to invest the amount of 5 lakhs as per their growth profile, they can expect a return of 12.6% from the investment portfolio. The current loan rate is 7.5%, so they are actually making an amount which is more than the loan rate, and given that they have a very comfortable set of cash flows, they can go ahead and invest the surplus money they have instead of prepaying the loan. If I take a different scenario where their profile was not of a growth profile but of a conservative profile, then what would happen is most of their savings will get invested in debt investments. And today, if you look at a fixed deposit return, the return is in the range of say 6.5%. That is your pre-tax return. Post taxes, the return would fall even further, and the loan rate which they are paying on their home loan is 7.5%. So this would result in a net loss for them, even if they decide to invest that 5 lakhs for their long-term requirements. Now, the reason why it appears a loss is because if they were a conservative investor and they are going to put all their money into debt products, they are actually losing money in their investments. Now, having said that, if the couple had an immediate short-term requirement in the next couple of years, then obviously whatever surplus they have is going to be allocated towards that goal, and such money does not even come into the contention of should you prepay or should you use it for your financial requirements or for your investments. Such money would definitely be set aside for the goal. It is only that money which you don't need for the short term and you're investing for the long term that you want to do this debate of should I prepay or should I invest. If I am comfortable in terms of the fact that my EMI eats up a small portion of my income and I don't mind letting the EMI run so that maybe I can enjoy the tax benefits associated with it, then I need to check where my investments are going. If they are going into products which are earning me higher than the interest I'm paying on the home loan, then I can continue to invest there. But if I am of a conservative profile and I invest in debt products where today if you look at the return of a debt product, it's sub 6%, post taxes it's going to be even more lower, and the interest rate that I pay on the home loan is 7.5-8%, it does not make sense to invest the money if I am a very conservative portfolio person, because my returns from the portfolio are going to be much lower than the cost that I'm incurring from the home loan. So when you have a surplus amount which you are deciding whether you should prepay or no, look at your immediate requirements. If you have it, allocated towards it. If not, look at the cost of the funds for you in terms of the cost of the interest that you pay on the home loan. Look at the opportunity cost, that is what your portfolio will earn you if you were to invest it in the portfolio, and then take a decision of prepayment or investing. Obviously, if you are a conservative person and your portfolio is a conservative portfolio, just to beat the returns of the home loan interest rate, if you try to get aggressive and invest in equity, that does not work in your favor, because equities are high risk, high return. You incur a loss there, then not only do you have to pay an interest cost, but also you have to bear the loss. So you have to look at your individual risk profile. If it fits into your risk profile to prepay, if that's what is going to give you a good night's sleep, do that. But if you are a very measured investor, you are a financially disciplined investor, and you know that you're going to stay invested in a growth portfolio which has equities for the long term, and you're ready to reap the benefits of that over the next 10 to 15 years, then definitely consider investing in the portfolio and letting your EMIs run, which are a very comfortable 20% or 25% of your total income, and you continue to enjoy the tax benefits associated with the home loan. As years pass and as you continue to service your home loan, the second most often question asked after the question of should we prepay the home loan is, should I change my home loan provider? Should I move from X bank to a Y bank? Now, what exactly happens when you decide to change your home loan provider? You already have an old bank or the old lender who has given you a home loan, whom you are servicing every month in the form of EMIs, and then you decide to approach a new bank or a new lender. And what the old lender of money will do is, he will pay the entire loan that is outstanding to the new lender, as a result of which the loan gets transferred from the old lender to the new lender. And what the new lender would do is, they would remove the mortgage which they have placed in your house, and a fresh mortgage is placed by the new lender on your house. So technically nothing is impacting you as an individual. It is just that if X bank was lending you the loan and today it is being replaced by Y bank, so the mortgage changes from X bank to Y bank, and tomorrow, once this is done, you will start paying your EMIs to the new lender, as you don't have any more liabilities to be paid to the old lender. This is what happens when you decide to change your loan provider or you do a loan swap. Now, why would you want to change your home loan provider or refinance your home loan? There can be a number of reasons. The most prominent reason is the new banker may be willing to give you a home loan rate which is lower than the old banker, or the new banker may be willing to give you a home loan amount which is higher than the one which is outstanding with the old bank. So if you took a loan of 1 CR and today it has reduced to 60 or 70 lakhs, if you were to do a refinance and the new bank is ready to finance you say another 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs extra, and you need the cash for a certain requirement that you have, that is another reason why you would want to do a home loan finance. Another reason why you would look at doing a home loan refinance is if you want to switch from a fixed rate loan to a floating rate loan or vice versa. That is the third reason why you would want to go for a home loan refinance. Some of the other reasons why you would go for a refinance is if as a result of refinancing, you're able to reduce the tenure of the loan because you want to prepay the loan at the earliest, or if the new lender or the new bank is willing to offer you much better terms and conditions compared to your old banker. While there can be a number of reasons why you would want to do the refinance, what is pertinent and important here is you to do the math properly to understand whether as a result of the refinance you are better off financially or you are going to be worse off. To understand this, let's go back to our two-stage couple and look at their numbers. The two-stage couple have been financing their loan for the last 10 years and currently they have a principal outstanding of 71.7 lakhs compared to the original principal of 1 crore. They have an interest rate of 7.5% and their original tenure of 20 years is now reduced to 10 years. When they approach the new bank, he is willing to finance them at a rate of 7% versus the 7.5% that they are paying to the current lender. Now, if you look at this, the total interest that they will have to pay to the existing banker if they continue the loan of 71.71 lakhs for the next 10 years is an amount of 30.43 lakhs. Whereas if they were to move to the new bank with an interest rate of 7% for the next 10 years, their interest cost is going to be 26 lakhs. So they have a net saving of 4.43 lakhs. How do you do this computation? It's very straightforward. You pick up the loan amortization schedule, plug in the number in terms of the principal outstanding, the tenure and the rate of interest, and you will get the total interest cost for both the cases. So here they have a total saving of 4.43 lakhs and they expect that the cost of refinancing for them would be an amount of 35,000 rupees. So after they pay the 35,000 rupees, they are still left with a total saving of 4,08,000 rupees. So since they are better off financially refinancing the loan than continuing with the old lender, because after they've incurred the stamp duty and other cost of moving from the old bank to the new bank, they are still going to save a substantial amount over the remaining tenure of the loan. So they must consider making this move. When you are faced with this option of refinancing your loan, be very clear what your total savings are going to be. Be very clear of what the additional cost that you will have to incur, because the cost that you have to incur have to be paid upfront, whereas the savings of interest or any other savings which the new lender promises are going to be over a long period of time. So if you continue the loan for the next 10 years, like in this case of the two-stage couple, they would benefit from it. But if they decide to prepay the loan in the next 4-5 years, the total benefit of 4 lakhs they were looking at will actually get reduced quite a bit if they do the prepayment. So be very clear of what your expected savings are going to be, what is your outflow expected today, and are you better off making the shift? And if you think that you're saving any amount of money as a result of this, you may want to make the shift to the new lender. Our key learnings from this session are that you must be very sure of your cash flows that you will expect after you purchase the home, and you must be very diligent in paying your EMIs, and you cannot afford to miss any EMI because that is going to have a huge negative impact on your credit score. If over a period of time you land up having a surplus amount of money in your hand, you can debate between whether you must prepay your home loan and make it zero, or you decide to invest it and make it a part of your investment portfolio. Here you'll have to do a comparison between the expected returns of the portfolio and the cost of your home loan. And finally, if you think it is financially beneficial for you to change your home loan provider, you can always exercise that option wherein you look at the potential savings from moving to the new home loan provider and the cost that you will incur today when you make the switch from the old home loan provider to a new home loan provider. What you've seen in all these sessions till now is that there are a number of factors that affect you during different stages of your home buying process. Some factors are easy to deal with, while other factors require a lot of diligence to be put in from your side so that you are making the right decision. While some factors may be very important for an X individual, altogether different set of factors may be important for a Y individual. And while certain factors may have a huge impact on the decision making of X individual, the same factors may have little or no impact on the decision making of a Y individual. Because of how these factors affect different individuals and because of the personal choices of the individuals, personal finances of each individual, there is no right or wrong answer to every question that you come across when you are running through the home buying process. And to help you make a better decision when you are faced with the same factors in your home buying process, what we will go through now is a series of 3 case studies which cover 3 real life examples of couples and individuals in different scenarios in their life and the kind of cash flows they are faced with, the constraints that they have, the resources that are available at their disposal, and within these constraints and resources, how they can go about making a decision towards buying their dream home.